Good morning, guys. Just wanted to do an introduction of myself. This is my first time doing Flosstube, so please bear with me. Um, I've never done this before, but I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jennifer. I'm a stay-at-home mom of three children, ages 18, or ages 20, 16, and 6. I have an older daughter that is 24, and she lives in North Carolina, and she and I talk every single day. Um, I've been stitching for about 25 years. It's kind of funny how that came about. Um, I was pregnant and on bed rest, and my husband wouldn't let me do anything at the time to basically wouldn't let me get up out of the bed unless it was to go to the bathroom. And then he, being the overprotective person that he was, he would carry me to the bathroom. But anyway, one day my mother showed up and she handed me this chart and the fabric and all the floss to go with it. And she says, "Here, I'm going to teach you how to do this." And I looked at her and I was like, "Mom, what is this?" And I don't know how to do any of this. And she says, "Well, first time for everything." And she taught me, and I've been doing it ever since. I haven't finished anything except for one piece, but I gave that away to a friend, and I haven't had it since. And I haven't finished anything since then except maybe a couple of ornaments for a Christmas tree and presents. But I did work for the county for 10 years, and then when my 7-year-old was born, I decided that I wanted to stay home with my children. And my 7-year-old receives money every month from his father that keeps us pretty much, over the above water for now, along with, other income. But I stitch mostly all the time, every day, except when I'm doing chores in the morning, so forth and so on, getting the kids ready for school, and then, after they come home. But I know you all don't want to hear my lovely story, but just wanted to introduce myself. I mainly have stitched on Hades and Mystic stitches and big, full coverage projects. And next week I will show those to you. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I like to read. I read a lot of books when I'm not stitching. If, when it comes time to go to bed, I have a book in my hand, actually my Nook actually, and been reading a lot of Tom Clancy, a lot of those. I like his work. Also, a lot of mysteries and thrillers and things like that. Stephen King, which I've never ever read before. So maybe just one book out of that whole entire process. I am so unprepared for this today, so please bear with me. I'm trying to think. Oh, Lord. I've tried to get my daughters to cross stitch, and they just won't cross stitch. They've tried it, and they've gotten so frustrated with it that I've ended up putting their projects in my whips to do, because they start it and then they're like, "I can't do this." They have no patience whatsoever. I'm a very impatient person, and I've never ever had patience. My parents could tell you, my patience, yeah, it's not the greatest. And when I started cross stitching, I realized how much patience that I actually had, and I think that really, really helps a lot, because if I didn't have cross stitch, my kids I would totally probably blow up at my children every 2 minutes. One thing I found also when I started cross stitching, um, shortly after my grandfather died, I found out that I had um, depression, and I also started getting panic attacks. Couldn't figure out why. Couldn't figure out, what was causing it. And finally, I went to a therapist, and they told me, we sat there and talked about it, and I told them, I said, this is what the deal was. And they said, do you have something that could help? And of course they told me, crocheting helps. And I said, well, I'm not a very good crocheter, which I have crocheted. I've done a couple of things. I have a crochet blanket for Pittsburgh Steelers that I'm working on for myself. But I just wasn't interested, and I said, well, I cross stitch. And she says, well, does that help? And I said, sometimes. And lately it's really, really helped a lot, especially at this time of the year. I mean, it's Christmas season. This is the time of the year that when my grandfather was alive, and I'm going to start crying, I'm sorry. When my grandfather was alive, this was the time of the year that he and I would spend almost it could be 3 or 4 days before Christmas that he and I would spend together watching Christmas movies, watching football. And I always thought that Santa Claus did this, and yes, Santa Claus did help, and he did tell me at one point that Santa Claus would always bring him these. I would get Hershey Kisses every year from my grandfather in like decorative, jars or whatever. And when he passed away, it was hard because I would never get them. My dad did it for a while, and I guess it got too much for him also because it was hard for him. He took it harder than anybody when my grandfather died. And I guess it just got too much for him to do that because he knew how much it meant to me and how much it meant to my grandfather. And he didn't want to, I guess, have me cry, even though it didn't really matter because this time of the year it always, I could sit here and cry and tell you. And so with the help of a very, very good friend a couple of days ago from one of my groups, I had asked for for prayers because, this time of the year is hard. I didn't want to cross stitch. I didn't want to do anything. And she, sent me a message, and she said, you do what he used to do. You buy yourself Hershey Kisses. You sit and watch the football games in memory of him, and you watch Christmas movies with your kids, and that would be a good way to remember him. And so that's what I plan to do as a tradition with my kids this year, and starting that, even though, they're older, and except for my 7-year-old, which he would love that anyway. But, and I'm rambling on telling you my whole life story. I'm so sorry. But no, I've been cross stitching off and on for 25 years. Some of you will remember me from the Yahoo groups. Some of you may not. I know, a couple of you that are really good friends that I've kept from Yahoo groups that we're still friends with on Facebook. I didn't want to do the video. I was nervous as all get-go because I am one of these people that I just don't like videos. I will do a live video on Facebook here and there in the groups, and that's it. And everybody kept telling me, you ought to do it, you ought to do it. Hey, it's fun. And okay. So really don't know what else to say. But next week I'm going to do a tutorial video on gridding and parking for Liz. She's in one of my groups, and she and I talk all the time on Facebook, and she always tells me, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to park. And with the way I park, she kind of gets confused. I learned parking from another friend of mine. Vicky, you know who you are. She sent me the instructions in an email a long time ago, and from then on it's become a habit, and it just got to a point where I was parking them and laying the threads down at the bottom, and I would get confused. I would totally like, okay, what color is this? Where does this color go? And I came up with a method, and I'm going to do that in the video next week, and I will show everybody how I do it. And I'll even show my whips, and I will have a new start next week. Yeah, I'm crazy. I have like 6 of them now that I'm working on, and I think I'm totally crazy, but with the rotation that I have, I don't think I'm going to have a problem. But again, thank you for listening to me ramble, and I really, really apologize if this is not a video that you all want to listen to, and this is my first video, so please bear with me because I'm really, really totally nervous, and I'm going all over the place. My ADHD is not fully with it today. So I hope to see you all next week, and have a very, very stitchy week. And again, thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope to see you and get all your comments, and I hope you guys will watch next week. Thanks. Bye.